Hello, everybody. It is Carole Garrison with Carole's Creative Escape, and I'm really happy to be here with you tonight. I'm almost back to normal in my stamp area. Not quite as far as I'd like to be, but enough that I can go live and be able to do kind of normal stuff with you tonight. So I'm very excited about that. Today is Monday, May 29th, and it is Memorial Day. And I hope that you all were able to spend some time both reflecting on what the day means and also spending some time with family and friends as well. As you can see, I've still got some work that needs to be done here on the window and up here, pointing to my ceiling. There we go. My ceiling, some tiles need to be done, but our hope is that tomorrow the contractor will be done with that. I've got my window open right now and I'm enjoying that fresh breeze coming in. But I do have a neighbor that's running around with a mini bike, so if they come through, I think I'm going to shut it because it kind of drowns out anything that might be happening here. So anyhow, last week we kind of decided that as long as we had all our furniture and everything pulled away from the malls, that we would repaint. It's probably been 20 years since we painted, and we've been meaning to replace the baseboard down here too. So we're kind of in the midst of working on that project. We did get half the room painted. Once we can get all the furniture and stuff put away on this half, we'll be able to pull the stuff from the other half and get that painted. And then we'll work on the trim work after that. But really pleased with how things are going and really like that window. So I'm excited to have that in place. I am going to share with you a card. I'm not really sure what to call it. Kind of a fun mosaic cut card. I don't really know. One thing that I don't have unpacked yet are all of my stamps and stuff. I found a couple sets that I can kind of work with and some designer series paper. So I'm not fully there yet on sharing all of the new products from the catalog. But I think you're going to really like this fold, and again, or not fold, but cut. And again, it's one of those cards that makes it look like you are really good at what you do with very little effort on your part. So I kind of like those. So let me go ahead and flip you guys around and we'll get started on the card. Just a moment, please. Trying not to make you see the insulation on my ceiling, which isn't very exciting. And then I'll get rid of my second camera stand, and I'm making sure I'm showing up here on Facebook. There I am. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. I did do some planting in the yard, so if you find any dirt on my hands, it's just good old garden dirt. I was planting my spring flowers, and who knows what'll happen. I'm going to try to straighten my camera just a little bit. Kind of got a 50-50 shot of getting it the right way. And that was not the right way, so we're going to try it again. And I'm probably not going to mess with it a whole lot more after that. All right. I'm going to pretend that it's close enough. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Julie. Hi, Sandy. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. All right. So the card that I'm going to show you, I actually saw this on a demonstrator Facebook page. And I just thought it was so cool. The demonstrator that was sharing it, his name is Kevin Theeson, and it's just a really cool geometric sort of layout. But as you know, it allows me to, or one of my goals has been to use my designer series paper, and this is another one of those cards that lets that happen. And what's really exciting is starting June 1st, there is going to be a selection of designer series paper that's going to be on sale. Hi, Anne. And so I have actually only bought one package of paper from the new catalog. I have a second one coming. It's still in picking, but I've been holding off getting my designer series paper once I found out about that sale. And so that starts June 1st. So if you've been kind of holding off getting designer series paper, you might want to consider that. But isn't this really cool how this works? Now, when Kevin was first showing this card, he had multiple layers, and I thought, oh, that looks complicated. And he said, but I'm going to show you a lot easier way to do this. And he did. And two things that I like is, yes, he was right. It was a lot easier to do. But secondly, it involved one less layer of cardstock, which to me is always a win, because just the weight of the cardstock can add to your mailing costs. So I don't like to do that. So I have just used the stamp set Wildlife Wonders, and I've grabbed the Note of Thanks because I liked how it fit in that circle. And then For All the Great Things You Do is stamped on the inside of the card. Just an easy thank you note, but I think you could make this into any different type of occasion depending on the paper that you're using and how bright or busy it is or whatever. So I am using the Hello Irresistible 6x6 paper. This is an online exclusive paper, and I've used this a couple of times in my classes or my videos. It includes colors of Daffodil Delight, Flirty Flamingo, Lost Lagoon, which is an old returning color, Petal Pink, Pretty Peacock, another returning color, and Soft Seafoam. So this card really has the Daffodil Delight, the Petal Pink, and the Flirty Flamingo. So I am focusing on those colors. Now, in full disclosure, this ribbon is an old Flirty Flamingo ribbon. I dug it out. Well, I didn't dig it out. I was able to easily access it because the rest of my ribbon is packed up still. And I'm not sure where it is right now. And so I wanted a little bit of ribbon, and I knew that would work. But I will tell you that it is currently a retired product and not available. All right, so tonight's card that I'm going to show you how to make is going to still feature that Irresistible Hello Irresistible paper, but I'm using the Pretty Peacock color tones in that, just to show you what the card's going to look like. And I made one other change from the original that I'll share with you as well. So the measurements for this card, and again, it was I was inspired by Kevin Theeson. The measurements are 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then you have 4 strips of the basic black cardstock that measure 1/4 inch by roughly 5.5. I don't even know how long mine are. I just kind of started cutting them, knowing that the length that I had was long enough, so I didn't worry anymore about that, but you'll kind of get a feel for that. And then I have a piece of basic white for the inside of my card that's going to be 4 by 5 1/4, standard size. But this second piece for the front of my card, I made 3 3/4 by 5. And the reason I did that is these borders are all 1/4 inch, but then it's kind of the 1/8 inch on the edge. And I really wanted them all to be the same border as these strips. So I just cut it down so that I'd have a 1/4 inch border too. You can do it either way. And then I picked my paper, and the center piece that we're going to work with, that one is 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. And then when I made my first card, I just used full sheets of 6x6 paper and cut them off. But it was kind of awkward to be working with. And so what I found is that I could take 4 by 4 piece of designer series paper, and then I just cut it in half along the diagonal. And that gave me a triangle piece that's going to work exactly with what I need to do. And I've just picked 4 different patterns that will work with my center piece as well. And then finally, I used the Stylish Shapes dies, and I used the third smallest circle, and just die cut that ahead of time, because again, it's easier with where I'm at in the mess in my house right now to do that sort of thing. And then I did pull it. This is again a retired piece of black ribbon, just because I felt it needed a little bit more, but it is retired. Hopefully by next week, I'm going to have everything I need in place. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I'm going to do is Oh, and see, with an open window, you can hear helicopters now flying by my house. I may not be able to have that open, but I'm enjoying that breeze blowing through here. I'm taking my pretty peacock ink pad, and I'm just going to ink up for all the great things you do so that I have the sentiment on the inside of my card. And typically I do try to do all my stamping at the beginning of assembling a card. And the reason for that is that I like to give it time to dry before I start taping it down. So that's the only stamping I needed to do this time through. And we'll get that done. I'm going to clean my... This is what a new Simply Chamois looks like. It's light purple and not all stained. I'm not sure where my chamois, my big one is, so I thought, well, I found this one, I'm just going to use it. I really wanted to be able to go live tonight, so we are making it work. Okay, so then we're going to just set that aside and let it dry. And then I am actually using green glue, the liquid glue tonight on my card, and that's just simply because I have a little bit more control, and I think these strips are too narrow for the adhesive, so it's one of those where it actually works better. And so I'm going to use my silicone mat in case I get any glue off to the side. All right, I just used this glue, come on. What have I told you? If you can't get your glue out, do not hold it over your paper because it will blurp out. I'm just going to grab a scrap of paper and squeeze until I get that blurp, because I don't want to get it all over my project that I'm working on. Yep, it just blurped all over my leg. Yikes. And that's why we don't do that over our projects. Sometimes this glue will get kind of glopped up and plugged up a little bit. I thought I was going to be okay since I just used it, but it looks like I was wrong. All right, let's see if I can get it going now. Well, you know it's live. Now it doesn't want to screw back on. So the next thing I'm going to do, you can tell it's kind of gloppy. I need to probably clean this a little bit more. But I think I got it. I'm going to take a chance here. And we'll start spreading glue on. All right, it should be good for the rest of the video. And I'm just going to wipe off some of that extra glue using my chamois. All right, back to our regular scheduled program. We're going to have this piece at a diagonal, and so you want to center it in your card. And I'm eyeballing it. You don't need to be precise, but if you want to, you are welcome to measure it off. That is fine. All right. So that's the first step. Sorry for the delay with that glue bottle. Then the next thing that we want to do is just put a little dab of glue right on the edge of your square here. And you are doing it. All right, this is still acting up and I'm really afraid it's going to blurp on me. So let me grab a different bottle and see if I have more luck. Yep. So you're going to go right along that edge, and then I'm following that same line and going to the edge of my basic white card base here. And then I'm just going to take this and put it on so that I've got my piece of paper lined up on the edge, right on the edge of my designer series paper. Make sure you go light on the glue so it doesn't blurp over. Mine did just a teeny bit, but that's all right. And then I'm going to rotate the card, and I'm going to repeat that step, going here, and then again just following that same angled line down. And we'll add this piece so it's lined up right at the edge and snug to the black strip I just put down. And that's another reason that using this liquid glue is nice, because it gives you the opportunity to wiggle it around just a little bit. We'll rotate it again, and as you can imagine, I'm going to repeat and again drag that line, carry it through on the basic white, and snug it up to that black line. And then last but not least, we're going to repeat that process on here, and we're actually on this fourth one going to run it right over that existing black strip, and then follow your line down like so. And we'll put that here. And make sure that it's adhered down. And then I find it's actually easier to trim this as I go. And so I'm going to grab, I don't know where my paper snips are either right now. All my stuff got moved today, and I'm just not sure where it ended up. So I'm just going to snip these off. When I first made this card, I didn't do this the first time, and I'm choosing to do that just because it gets rid of a little bit of stuff hanging off. And you'll kind of see as we're working through this what I'm talking about. Okay, so that covers this part. Now to add these triangles of design, all you're going to do is take a piece and fit them in however you think they fit best onto your card. And so these triangles just fit in real nice because we're dealing with 90-degree angles, and so they'll fit in real snugly. And then you'll have a little bit less to cut off, and end up with some decent strips that you may be able to use on another card too. So I think I might switch these two around. Kind of like that a little better. So then all I need to do is come back through with my glue, and you don't want to get too close to the edges just in case it kind of blurps out a little bit, and put in one piece at a time. Okay, and there we go with that. And I think, again, I am actually going to trim mine off as I go, piece by piece. This you can really do however you want, but for me, less bulk is better. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay if you've got a little bit hanging over, because you're going to be putting this against your black cardstock. So as long as the white cardstock doesn't show, it isn't really going to matter a whole lot. So we'll come into this corner, repeat that process. So I think now you can kind of see how this card is coming together. And I have seen it made with really bright and colorful papers, and I've I've made it with this, which is I think is kind of a little more subdued or serious kind of paper. Some of the new In Color Designer Series papers got dots and stripes on it, so those would make really fun cards with that. You can do whatever you want with it. And even though we're all stampers, sometimes it's nice to not have to do a lot of stamping. To me, this is kind of a great card to bring and do on the road because you don't have to carry a lot of stamp sets and stuff with you. Even if you made if you wanted to make a lot of this layer of your card, you could do that while traveling. And then because the point of it is to use and show your designer series paper, you don't want your sentiment or your stamped images to necessarily take away from the card base itself. That one is going to bother me because it is obvious it was higher than there. All right, and then we're going to put our last square on, and I hope you guys all agree with me how easy this card is to make, even though it looks a lot more confusing. I know that when Kevin was showing his cards, he actually was using some different animals as his focal point on his cards, and they were really cute. He was using some of the bright colored papers and stuff. Really cute kid cards. I think he's actually sold me on a set that I didn't think I was going to get, just because they came out so cute with the cards that he made. So try different stamp sets, different papers, see how it looks, because I think you might be surprised at the different look that you can get. All right, so there's my card front. It's done, you guys. So let's go back to our card base. And again, this is 5.5 by 8.5. I have used basic black on my cards here. I think you could use other colors. I have a feeling, I haven't tried, but I have a feeling that darker colors are going to make it pop a little bit more. But once I get some other paper in my hands, I am going to try this with using colors instead of just the basic black. There's one card or one designer paper that is Nature's Bounty or Harvest or something. It is kind of brown tones, and I have a feeling Early Espresso is going to look really nice with that paper. So I am going to order my stash through the upcoming sale and then try this card in a couple different ways. All right, and I'm just going to rub that on, and then we're going to add to the front of this card that layer that we just made. I really, really like this. This is one of those that, you know how sometimes you scroll through and it just stops you? And that's what this did. And fortunately, the one that I found had a link to the video showing us how to make the card. And so I was able to save that and go back to it. But I knew tonight this was the card that I was going to share with you. Okay, and now I'm going to just center my card. And I had another demonstrator give a really good tip. She tends to make sure she has even spacing on opposite corners rather than looking at all of her corners. So kind of looking at this corner and this corner to make sure spacing was good. And then she would adhere her card front. And it works for me most of the time. So that might be something you want to try. So again, on this card, I tried to make my borders match more, these solid lines. Where on this first card, the solid lines are 1/4, but my border was about 1/8 of an inch instead of the 1/4 of an inch. So you can try it either way, whatever's going to work best for you. And on this card, I'm just going to have my ribbon kind of running. Actually, let me do a little crisscross on my ribbon. So the way I like to attach ribbon when I'm doing it this way is I just put a little bit of seal right in the middle of the area where I want my ribbon to be. And I use that to hold it down. And I'm going to make a narrow crisscross so that basically I have ribbon hanging out either side. Once I attach my center, sentiment, I will come back and trim these. That way I'll know exactly where I want it. And I'm going to use some scraps of dimensionals because I don't know where my full sets are right now. Next week, I will have everything unpacked over here. I'm really, really, really looking forward to it. Rearranging space just a little bit, and gonna hopefully have it configured that in a way that's gonna work for me. If not, I'll be changing it up again. All right, so then I'm just using dimensionals to pop up that circle. They will also help hold down my ribbons. And I don't need the ribbons to hang out super far, so I am going to trim them down. And there we have it. So that card, I'm just looking at what time it is right now, and I can't tell for sure. It's just before 8 o'clock, so without cutting, it took me less than 25 minutes to assemble, probably less than 15 minutes to assemble the card because I kind of chatted a lot at the beginning here. But again, give this card a try, and I'd love to see how you combine your papers and sentiments on the front to decorate it. So if you do make this card, be sure to post it down in the comments below. I'd love to see what other people create because I think it helps inspire each of us. So the measurements again on the card, the base is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. The inside is your standard 4 by 5 1/4. On this card, I used a piece of basic white cardstock to build my layers on that measured 3 3/4 by 5. That gave me the wider border. Each of these strips measure 1/4 inch wide by 5.5, just say, and then you've got enough to work with. And then on this one, my base card layer was again 4 by 5 1/4, and that gives you kind of that 1/8 of an inch border. Just depends on what you like. And like I said, I don't think this card needs a lot more on the front. One simple stamped image or a sentiment, and really let your designer paper be the focal point of the card. If I had embellishments handy, I'd probably put a few of those on. Maybe next week. Maybe next week. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this card. And like I said, I'd really love to see what you guys create. Julie said she's going to try this. And Julie, if you make it, be sure you post this card because I'd like to see it. And Sandy, I bet you can do something with it too. Oh, hey, Patricia, thanks for joining us today. I appreciate that. Anyhow, there you go. Like I said, next week, I think I will be back fully in my craft area. This project's taken a little bit longer. I think it's, I know the window had to get special ordered and it really wasn't in, and that just caused delays. I know actually my contractor's starting a project on Wednesday at my neighbor's house, so he really needs to get this one done in order to be able to move on to the neighbor's house. So I'm hoping by midweek. So I hope everybody has a really good week. It's only a 4-day work week, so yay for that. And we will see you all next Monday. Take care, everyone, and thanks for joining me. Lynn, I want to see your card too. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody.